10 June 2025 siyanvuselana lomhla kuseni kunguLesibili bonke sithembe ukuthi nivuka kahle sithembe ukuthi nidalithokozela luhlelo lwalomhla kuseni libito lami nguSifiso nganxumana ohamba nalungelele eMagagula siyakuthokozela ke kuba nani nalomuhla ekuseni manje sibona kuhusha lokumatima
kakhulu
lehlobo le ngihlala nato endlini diphaphamile la kubo 2 am tiyathuka caba ukuthi kuphamba liphahla hayi beke amaphapho phasi siyathandaza la ndlini manje it is scary indeed and we're hoping we won't be hearing of any casualties lusuku lusaqala
mazodla mahlaya sinivusele sesami ukuthi niphilile lomhla ekuseni usathinza le nje mboni vele belitiko laka lelibukelona tindzaba desemuselitulu likho ke warning itolo ukuthi vele kutaba nemoya lomkhulu kakhulu lapha eSwatini kukahle kuba nema outages kuhambe gesi kulimali infrastructure kulimali ne property so sibe samaswati sacela ukuthi siphephe lapho sihamba khona sigcoke futhi kuyabanza lomhla ekuseni it's very cold maximum temperatures will reach 17 degrees Celsius lapha eMbabane kubanza impela sithemba ukuthi you safe and warm wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in namhla on the breakfast show Kusile breakfast show sikona YouTube you can watch us there as always guys sikhuluma tindzaba letihamba embili lapha eveni today we'll be joined by the corporate affairs manager at MTN Thandwa Inkosi Dlamini to talk about the 21 days of yellow care campaign which entered its 18th year this year and over the past 6 years MTN has reached the lives of 107,034 people across communities in the country through the impact of 14,000 MTN volunteers. Sibe sikhulumisana naye Thandwa ukuvuka ukuthi what programs is MTN engaging this year ngapha ama communities laba bavakashelako siyakhumula ukuthi kuyahlukahlukana kuba netikolo abavakashela tikolo ababakhela ama labs computer labs noma bakhe dona tikolo abalungisa imigwaco maningi ama programs under the 21 days of yellow care laka wendako MTN. She'll fill us in later at 6:30 this morning. Do stay tuned.
Konke siyancenje siyafuna highlight ukuthi indzaba yeKhosafa indzaba lengathi tawatfokotisa eMaswati njoba nje Junior seka vele rescuishe sihlangu semnikati la khona ke he became the Hollywood Bets Khosafa man of the match. He rescues a point with a stupendous free kick. Yeah, hopefully we'll drill into that conversation later on the show today through a phone call. Maybe we don't know if our sports journalists will be available for this particular reaction, but hopefully we can do that and give you that. And again, it's 3 minutes after 6. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go for a net break. Start we are started in Zaba, Eswatini.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
Tindzaba tesiswati mengameli welive leMozambique Daniel Chapo sawufike kuleli ngemuva kwekuthi amenywe ingonyama. Mengameli Chapo ufikele esikhumulweni setindiza eKing Mswati the 3rd International Airport eSikhuphe ngemsombuluko ekuseni.
Mengameli welive leMozambique Daniel Francisco Chapo wemukelwe ngilobambe kubangudunankulu impunga Kusile Dladla ngesikhathi efika esikhumulweni setindiza eKing Mswati the 3rd International Airport aqala livakasho lwakhe lwakuleli ngemva kwekumenywa ingwenyama. Lo vakasho lwaMengameli Chapo litawuba nesandla lesipandi ekuvuseteleni tivumelwano tekubambisana kwelive leSwatini nelive leMozambique kanti kubhekeke nokuthi kuqinise ubuhlobo balamave lamabili. Mengameli Chapo ufungiswe njengamengameli waseMozambique ngabhimbidvwane edolobheni iMaputo ngemva kokuthi aphume embili elukhethweni lebelibanjwe eminyakeni lophelile. Ngesikhathi yethula umgomo wakhe wekusebenta uthembisa kufaka onke emandla lanawo kuvikela nekuqinisa lubumbano kuthula nenhlalakahle yesive saseMozambique lesibalelwa etigedzini letika-35. Timpawu tekuba ngumholi lokhaliphile kuMengameli Chapo loneminyaka lengama-48 daqala kuvela ngesikhathi angumphathi wesifundza saseNyembane kusukela ngeminyaka wa-2016 kuya ku-2024. Kulamalanga ungenele lihlelo lokuvakashela abaholi bemave lakhelene neMozambique njengoba yathanda ukuvakashela live leMalawi lapho afike khona wabamba inkulumo namengameli Lazarus Chakwera. Uthi tengefika kwakhe kuleli walungela kuvusela aphinza abambe inkulumo nengwenyama esigodlweni kaLozitha kanye nendlovu yemhlaba esigodlweni eLutsitsini. Kwethu indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya naThemba Mamba eKingdom Mswati the 3rd International Airport.
Mengameli welive leMozambique Daniel Chapo sawubeseke uvusela ingwenyama nendlovukazi Mhlekazi kuvusela kwaMengameli Chapo emakhosini kulandzela kufika kwakhe kuleli ngemsombuluko ekuseni.
Mengameli welive leMozambique Daniel Chapo lofike kuleli ngemsombuluko emini uvusele ingwenyama yamandvelo Grand Hall kaLozitha ngemsombuluko kusihlwa. Silo semhlaba semukele mengameli nelibandla lebelimsingetse ngetandla lethokomele. Lo mengameli lobekwe ngabhimbidvwane uthole lithuba lekumunya inhlakanipho yebuholi lobukhaliphile kiso silo semhlaba njengoba sekabhekene nemsebenzi wokhola sive zaseMozambique lesibalelwa ngetulu kwetigidzi letika-35. Sebakwendwa kwaba ngumgomo kumengameli labasha bemave lakhelene nelive leSwatini ukuthi bathi uma sebabekiwe befike kuleli bavusele amakhosi bahlomiseke ngetindlela tekuqatulula tinsaya labangahle babhekane nato baphindze baqinise nebuhlobo belive leSwatini nemave yabo. Mengameli welive leMozambique Daniel Chapo lofike kuleli ngemsombuluko ekuseni uvusele indlovu yemhlaba esigodlweni eLutsitsini. Indlovu yemhlaba yemukele Mengameli Chapo nelibandla lebelimsingetse ngetandla lethokomele. Nomengameli lobekwe ngabhimbidvwane uthole lithuba lekumunya inhlakanipho yebuholi lobukhaliphile kiyo indlovu yemhlaba njengoba sekabhekene nemsebenzi wekhola sive saseMozambique lesibalelwa ngetulu kwetigidzi letika-35. Sebakwenda umgomo bumengameli labasha bemave lakhelene nelive leSwatini ukuthi bathi uma sebabekiwe befike kuleli bavusele emakhosi bahlomiseke ngetindlela tekuqatulula tinsaya labangahle bahlangabetane nato baphindze baqinise nebuhlobo belive leSwatini nemave yabo. Noma indlovu yemhlaba ibe netinkhulumo tasegumeni namengameli kodwa kuhlangana kwayo namengameli kube lithuba lekubuka emathuba ekusebentisana nekwabelana lwati etindzabeni letifaka ekhatsi intuthuko yabomake nenhlalakahle yabogogo nabomkhulu. Namave lamabili anetinhlelo letisibuko sekutibophelela kwawo qinisekisa ukuthi bomake bathola emathuba lalinganako kutebuholi nasetinhlangothini letifaka ekhatsi umnotho. Ngakulokunye emhlanganweni wekubuka amathuba ekukhulisa tekuthengiselana kwelive leSwatini nelive leMozambique lebe ubanjelwe ehhotela leRoyal Villas ezulwini, Mengameli Chapo ugcugcutele kususwa kwemicabo levimbela kukhula kwetekuthengiselana emkhatsini walamave amabili. Mengameli uphakamisethe inhlangothi lathi tingafukula iminotho yalamave kude kuthuthuke nelizinga lenhlalakahle yesive ikakhulu insha lekube luhlangothi lwetemandla, tekuvakasha netekulima. Lo mhlangano bowungenelwe bosomabhizinisi baseMozambique labangama-50 nabozakwabo bakuleli nalababuka inhlangano tebhizinisi kulamave lamabili. Kanti wetfule inkulumo yendvuna yetekuthengiselana kuleli kube indvuna yetemphilo Mduduzi Matsebula. Lebika kwethu indzabeni ngisandile Makhanya anathemba mamba nazwele masuku esigodlweni elitsitseni.
Sawuvuliwe ngalokho semthethweni umhlangano wakamhlaba lobuke indzaba tekuvikela nekuqinisekisa kukhonsa kwelwandle United Nations Oceans Conference 2025. Lo mhlangano ungenelwe ngumhlonishwa ndvunankhulu Russell Mmiso Dlamini akanye nendvuna yetange phandle umhlonishwa Pholile Shakhantu. Lo mhlangano uvuliwe kumabhalane wenhlangano yakamhlaba Antonio Guterres ngemsombuluko ekseni eNice.
Lomunye wetikhulumi kulomhlangano kube kumengameli weFrance Emmanuel Macron. Macron utsite umhlaba ubhekene netimo letimatima letehlukene letifaka ekhatsi kushisa lokumatima, tikhukhula, tiphepho, kantsi nabochwepheshe batsi nemande elwandle sekashisa ngalokungatayeleki. Macron utsite umhlaba usengotini yekucwila uma tintfo tingagucuki kungako lo mhlangano umcoka. Macron utsite bantfu abangakhohlwa kutsi lwandle lubamba ikota yekungcola lokukhishwa ngumhlaba. Lo mengameli utsite kubita kubambisana kutsi kuliwe nekusebenziswa kabi kwelwandle njengobe kungenti njalo kutawufaka umhlaba wonke engotini. Mapalane wakamhlaba Antonio Guterres utsite tento tebantfu letifaka ekhatsi kudweba ngalokwecile kulahla tibi letigcine tifike elwandle kuyalutsikabeta lona lwandle. Guterres utsite kuyingoti kutsikabeteka kwelwandle njengobe ngetulu kwa-50% wemoya lophefumulwa bantfu ubuya khona elwandle kantsi nemphahla lengetulu kwa-80% letsengiswako emhlabeni ihamba ngelwandle. Mengameli we-European Commission Ursula von der Leyen utsite nakungatsatfwa tinyatselo masinyane likusasa lemhlaba lisengotini. Leyen utsi bafuna kubona ngetulu kwemave langu-60 asayina i-High Sea Treaty lokutawenta kutsi lesivumelwano lesi sikhona kusebenta. Lesivumelwano lesi ngulesibuke imitsetfo, buciko nekuvikelwa kwelwandle. Leyen utsite sebadvute nekutsi befike kutfoleni emave langu-60 kutsi asayine lesivumelwano kantsi kuwakhutsata kutsi ente loku. Livekati lalabamhlophe litawunikela imali lengu-40 million euros ku-Global Ocean Programme lekuyimali lelinganiselwa ngetulu kwa-809 million wemalangeni. Tindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela eNice eFrance.
Sewufungisiwe ekubeni yimphunga umvanenkosi Kekela kulandzela ukuthi yabulawe ingwenyama ekubeni ngiyo imphunga. Umvanenkosi Kekela uthethe lesifungo sekwethembeka kulomsebenzi ngesikhathi timphunga tichubeka nemsebenzi welusuku ngemsombuluko.
Kulandzela ukuthi umphanenkosi Kekela abulawe ingwenyama ekubeni imphunga ngemsombuluko ngesikhathi timphunga tichubeka nemsebenzi wendlu welisuku. Le mphunga ithethe isifungo sekusebenta ngekusitwa ngumabhalane wePhalamende eBenedict Xaba.
Kanye nalaba yobusa emva kwayo ngekulandzela umthetho inkosi ingisile.
Imphunga umphanenkosi Kekela ifunge yatibophelela ukuthi kulomsebenzi lenikotwe wona itawusebentela live njengakuthenjwa ngiwe emakhosi. Kanti mengameli wetimphunga imphunga Lindiwe Dlamini nelisekela lakhe imphunga Ndumiso Mdluli bemukelele imphunga endlini.
Yambongela unene umsebenzi omkhulu wethenjwa live inika umsendo njengalona nathi njengoba lapha sePhalamende ashito siva nathi siyavuseleleka siphatha livalo kabusha.
Siyethemba ukuthi
futhi angelwathi olukhulu kakhulu olutawusimisa lendlu likhona ukuthi iqhubekele phambili impunga alawo magama manje president siyabongela siyathi nangosi lawusebenza kahle.
Timpunga ke ngekusho kwamengameli wetimpunga tawubuketa emakomiti lapho kusebenta kwematika kahulumende khona etimpungeni kude lempunga leseyifungisiwe ingene isebente kulamakomiti. Lobikako nguSamkelsiwe Khoza naThemba Shabangu eParliament.
Bafundzi benyuvesi ye-Eswatini Medical Christian University babenemshuco ngemsombuluko kwekuthi akuphele kuthunjwa nekubulawa kwebantfwana. Labafundzi bathi wonke umntfwana unelilungelo lekuphila kanye nelekufundza ngaphandle kwekwesaba.
Labafundzi bathi lokuthunjwa nekubulawa kwabantwana yindzaba yethu sonke eveni. Kungako bathe abangasaleli emuva bavakalisa buhlungu babo nabo ngoba nabo iyabatsinza lendzaba ngoba letigila mkhuba titsatsa wonke nje loya esikolweni. Ngakho-ke abavakalise livu labo bekhude.
Sithe bafundzi baseChristian asesisukume sithi iChristian bantwana bakhona bathi no ukubulala. Bathi abafuni bantwana babulawe ngoba labantwana namhla bantwana kusasa likusasa lelive. Bantwana abasakhoni kuyofundza kahle eklasini ngoba umntali nakamkhokha ekseni akati noma utawubuya yini. Lokho ke inflicta ipain kumntali naye umfundzi akakhoni kufundza kukhululeke ngoba akati ukuthi nangibuya ngidawumelwa ngumalume longibani abungifike yini ekhaya.
Bafundzi ke labaxoxisene nalomsakato bathi umango awusukume uqinisekise ukuthi tiyabanjwa letigila mkhuba bantwana bayaphepha.
Labatali nabo thine basibheke ukuthi sente something is sibamfana so mine kimi nje kungiphatha kabi.
Umntwana kwecala uba nefiye eklasini ngoba lokukhona asibathi nalomuntu lo akababa amathi lo muntu noma labantu laba bebabo kanje kuthi umuntu noma ahamba nje akasathi odibana nami ngichamba la university lo mntwana mncane le primary so yabaleka akasathi usafe kubani utawubalekela kubani. Mina vele kungithinta kakhulu ngoba kwanathi asisafe ngosinqume ngathi lo ngathi sima males labo sisibethu abasisafe kakhulu.
These children are our future. If we're killing the future now, what are we going to have in the near 10 to 15 years? Who are we going to look up to? I feel like emaswati atulile agaphakami kucedza letimfo letendekalako. I feel like the nation needs to stand up and fight for our children because these are the voiceless kids.
I send enough to try and stop this. That is why I don't feel good we are safe. I don't feel good our children are safe. I don't feel good I am safe myself. Khona sisho lesisho ukuthi umbana akakhuliswa ngumntana nama wakhe kuphela akakhuliswa ekhaya kuphela but ukhulumisana nangummango wonke. So as a community siyacela ukuthi sibambisane.
Imibutho yetekuvikela ke kumanje seyivele isukumile ibambene kufuneni labangahle bathinzeke ekunyamalaleni kwebantwana lapha eveni. Lobikako nguGiyani Msibi, mina Nombendulo Shabalala, sisa Christian University.
eMaswati lebekasebenza etimayini eNingizimu Afrika ayakhala ukuthi kuthatha lichi ukuthi athole ingcenye yemali lengo-5 billion emalangeni lesesikhwameni seTiamiso Trust lekuyimali ke yekuncephethela labo bebasebenza etimayini labaphathwa sifo sesifuba lesibitwa ngesilicosis. Laba labasebenza etimayini bakuvetela kungesikhathi isikhwama seTiamiso Trust sibahlola ukuthi banaso yini sifo sesifuba.
Le mali engu-5 billion emalangeni yakhishwa timayini telive laseNingizimu Afrika letisithupha eminyakeni wa-2018. Inhloso yalokhu ukuthi kuncephethelwe bonke bemave akasadaki lebasebenza etimayini taseNingizimu Afrika labagula ngesifo sesifuba isilicosis. Inhlangano labasebenza etimayini kuleli Eswatini Migrant Mine Workers Association kusuka ngo-26 enyangeni lephelile ihlola labo basebenza etimayini lesifo. Emsembuluko ekseni labo basebenza etimayini bavukele embabane kamasipala lapho kupaka khona timotolo kuyohlolwa ukuthi banaso yini lesifo noma cha. Babese baxoxisana nalomsakato.
Kumetime ekhaya asidli lutho nyalo siboleka imali yabantu nyalo sitela ukuthi siyayibhadala ngana ngathi.
Saphuma etimayini vele sigula babe kude lapha sinika kona uhulumende akasinaki. Ndzaba ama-ex miners akawanaki uhulumende.
Thina sama-ex miners sariska ngempilo yethu kude uhulumende akasinaki. Afile lesasebenza nabo namanje lo silapha sinalutho kodwa sasebenza emayini sasebenza kabuhlungu shaya imishina njalo kodwa kumuva solutho. badlala ngathi balibe kusingqingqisa lapha nako hayi khona sasebenza manje le mali yethu sokufuna ukuthi salo siyimba ungathi basipha yethu le mali sasebenza ethi mayi mnimngami solo ngiyagula nyalo nje kudla kwangilimada lasubeni sengiyakukhesa ukudla lempudlako
mina impilo yethu angiyiboni sesehle senyuka kakhulu ngale nto le sehle senyuka basikhomba leli nale kodwa sola siphumelele isicela ukuthi manje kuphela kuhambe kuvuke ekugcineni
Lokhu kwethi inhlelo enhlanganweni labasebenzi emayini kuleli Eswatini Migrant Mine Workers Association Thulani Ncamphalala uchaza kabanti ngalolu hlelo lokuhlola labasebenzi emayini.
Akusito tonke timayini leta ifaka le mali. Ngileto nje leti sithupha kumbe leti inkulu kakhulu. Kumbe ngekubekisa kunema degrees laba khona, kune first degree, second degree kumbe bese kuba ne third. I first degree kumbe lizinga leliphasi uyayithola kumbe cishe ibe 100,000 bese ke iyanyuka ku second degree icishe ifike 250,000 bese ke le third degree kumbe icishe ifike ehafini yesigidi.
Kulesikhwama seTsiyamiso Trust kusebhadalwe eMaswati lang 1121 kulokuyimali leng97 million emalangeni bang 5303 lebasebenzi emayini kuleli lababhalisele kuzuza kulesikhwama lobikako ngumfortune dlangamandla ngisembabane.
Umfundzi lobekafunza form 3 esikolweni sasengololweni high school sawuyekele kufunza kulandzela ukuthi bothishela kanye nebafundzi bamshaye bamsole ngekwakuthi usebentise buthi kude lesikolo asingaphumeleli emidlalweni yebhola lebeyingenelwe ngilesikolo.
Lo mfundzi wagcina esikolweni nating 15 enyangeni yamabasa kulomnyaka losetulu. Lo mfundzi kanye namake wakhe labacele kungaveli bachaza kabanti ngalokwenteka.
Kwachamuka abafana labangithu emva kwami bangibamba ngemuva ngathi ngiyasuluka washaya munye wecala ngathi ngiyasuluka nalo munye washaya babe sebeta baba baningi bangishaya emveni koloko solo bangishaya lapha phasi wonke thishela khona nemphathi naye akhona bemile lapha kude labakusho kwana ngibuta mina ukuthi bangishayelana bathi bona mine nginikwe ngithishela umuthi wathi angiyolwe egroundini kudlala isandleni nenhletsheni kuthi yinye mathi kube betisemleweni nawo lapho
semaphoyiseni savula licala sahlala kusukela 15 tot kwasile viki lecala sekuvula kwethu solo ngiyabona mina yabo solo kuchubeka emalanga ngaphinze ngamshalanisa gogo akamnika imali sakhuphuka sadibana kahlathi sabila sawuvula licala sawuvusetela sukhambana wanomfana mangasakhona ngisho kuyesitolo nasendlini bakutshele solana gogo namkhulu akasala kule ndlu yakhe lencane ngala le one room akasala kuyo solana gogo namkhulu because so uyesaba uyabo because kunathishela lothisha Dlamini wathi agadze noma ileta kwendeka kuye.
Lothishela losolwa ngekunika lo mfana emakhatsakhatse ukuthi lesikolo sasengololweni singaphumelele kutemidlalo yebhola nguParis Mathebula kanti ucele ukukhulunyelwa ngumengameli wenhlangano yabothishela kuleli Eswatini National Association of Teachers lokungumbongo Dlamini.
Kunuka nje umuntu ngeSiswati kubucala. So-ke kufuneka ukuthi loyo loveta leyo ndvo leyo abe nebufakazi ukuthi kwentekile lokho and-ke noma ngabe kwentekile vele siyakuthi thishela noma ngibuphi ukuthi uthishela abangaqali bafundisi bafake abantwana etintweni temithi kuma-beliefs emithi siyabakhweshisa thina bantwana akufuneki bantwana siba-involve kuleto tinvo leto awumsebentisi umntwana kuleto tinvo leto noma kufuna kube i-decision yakhe asamdzala.
Lo mphathi wesikolo sasengololweni Sipho Gadlela kanye nemphathi wetemfundo esifundzeni saseshiselweni Siboniso Gumbi bachaza ngalabo kwatiko ngalendzaba.
Bathi lo mfana waloya lena wanikwa ngomnyethishela la sikolweni umuthi uthi aloye le school team sidliwe singawini kwaba ngiloko nje
letinsolo lebakhuluma ngato tisuka ekuphenguleni simakele kakhulu nje ukuthi hawu eschool siyaphengula ngoba lento ekuphengula asithathe vele ngala ka education.
Kubheke ukuthi ngemsembuluko ekseni bonke labathinzekako kule ndzaba bahlangane ehhovisini lemphatho temfundvo kulesifundza saseshiselweni ngenhloso yekutfola sisombululo lobikako uFortune Dlangamandla ngisengololweni.
Kulandzela lendzaba lomfundzi lehhovisi lemphatsi wetemfundvo eshiselweni libambe umhlangano nabo bonke labatsindzekako kulendzaba. Kanti-ke sincomo lesiphumile kulo mhlangano ukuthi lo mfundzi sale afunelwa indzawo kulesinye setikolwa letitfutane nasekhaya kuphindze kuthumelwe bahloli kulesikolo.
Lokukhatsate kakhulu umphatsi wetemfundvo eshiselweni Siboniso Gumbi uthi kuvakala ngathi tisetiningi tikhala kule ndzaba. Lo mhlangano ungenelwe ngulo mfundzi lotsindzekako kule ndzaba nemtali wakhe, bahloli betemfundvo, inhlangano yabothishela, likomiti kanye nabothishela labatsindzekako. Umphatsi wetemfundvo uvetile ukuthi lo ofisi litawuthumela abahloli kulesikolwa bayophenya letinkinga letikhona endzabeni yalo mfundzi. Kumbe uchazile ukuthi lo mfana utawufaka kulesinye isikole lesitfutane nekhaya ngemva kokube makolo mfundzi endlulise ukuthi kangeke kumtfokotise ukuthi abuyele kuyofundza enkololweni.
Yangilimata kakhulu njengoba lento kona bhuti yenteka mhla ka-15 April and yangilimata kakhulu. Yangilimata kangokuba kude ngavele nje ngangabona ukuthi kufune nginteni kahle kahle empilweni just because lo mfana wachamuka amanti abovu nengadi bamshayile vele ashaywe ngabantu babesikolo and sana siphuma sithi siyathisha lo mkhulu akakhona ukukhulumisana nathi and nyalo lo mfana so saba ngisho kuya esitolo nanyalo akasalali na unendle yakhe but yena akasakhona kulala edvana ulala nagogo namkhulu ngoba uyesaba ngathathela mina isinqumo ngadila kahlathi emaphoyiseni banginika incwadi ngamikisa esibhedlela wabuyela kabili because bakakhala ngendlebe avuvukile atsabile futhi nasemlonyeni nesandla sonke esivuvukile nyawo selasesixhwalile sesigobile.
Inhlangano yabothishela nayo ethembisa kuvela esikolweni tawukhulumisana nabothishela lobika ngithando kuhle Mdluli inhlangano.
Eminyakeni lesihlanu uhulumende utawube sekadibhadele waticetsa tikweleti letibalelwa ku-15 ngenhloso yekucinisekisa ukuthi live liyachubeka nekuba sesigabeni lesikahle sekubhadala tikweleti talo. Lokhu kuvetwe ngusihlalo welibandla lelibuka kusebenta kwelitiko letemafa endlini yabayesikhulu umhlonishwa Mawik Khumalo abexoxisana nalo nationalist wethu wetemabhizinisi achaza kabanti ngokuthi yini labatawuyenda kucinisekisa ukuthi live aligcinise linebumadima bekubhadala tikweleti ngenxa yekuphasiswa kwemtsetfo losakhankanywa wa-4 billion emalangeni lokuyimali letawubolekwa kelitiko letemafa etinhlanganweni temhlaba.
Le debt management before siyiphasise sifuna kwathi ukuthi sokusele ngakanani ngidawubekisa nje kunayile suka kwenje lesanza kukhuluma sitsithe kuhulumende siyabona siyabhadala siyaboleka tikweleti tiyanzi kepha asusichazele ukuthi sekuseleti ngakhi lesitibhadala nathi nje sitibhadala kulomnyaka tikweleti letinzala waletha uhulumende luhla lonke lwa 15 wetikweleti lesitabe siticedzile in the next 5 years, that is between 2025 na 2030 sitabe sicedze 15 wetikweleti letinkulu letingasinto letincane.
Umhlonishwa uphindze waveta ukuthi basebenta indzaba yekwekuthi uma litiko litawuboleka imali lisheshe libatise.
Thina singena at the tail end ekugcineni kwale process lapha nabanegotiator nako lapho khona kufanele kube clear lokuthi le loan nayicelo 1 itawathuthukisa inamaswati nangisho njalo ngiyabekisa kunde baka construction kuthiwa i-Construction Industry Council laba ka-CIC basemthethweni bakho ngumthetho laba ama-contractors ngeke ukuthi nawutawuthuta wakha a huge facility kule live bese so uthi no akube inkampani yangaphandle kuphela 100%. So we need to be vigilant because ekugcineni kwako konke vele lama loans atawubhadalwa ngithi. I think ukuthi ngasibe vigilant ukuthi lo mgqumo wale local participation ubonakale. I think that's where lapho khona start impose khona going forward because itolo lokuthi iparliament iqhamuka sekusayiniwe ama agreements leso kwendiwe sekuta at the tail end, maybe that is our undoing.
Uma litiko letemava likhona kuboleka imali lelinganiselwa ku-4 billion emalangeni, tikweleti telive naticatsaniswa nemkhicito titawuba ku-46%. Inhlangano yemali emhlabeni, i-International Monetary Fund, ithi tikweleti telive naticatsaniswa nemkhicito ikakhulu kumave lasathutfuka kufanele tibe ku-40% kute lelo live litawuba sesigabeni lesikahle sekutibhadala leto tikwelete. Libhange lemhlaba i-World Bank lithi leSwatini lisatibhadala kahle tikweleti talo. Lobikako Nelson Ngamandla kunavuma Inkosi Nzinisa na Derek Msibi ezulwini.
Tinhlangano tebantfu labasha titsi uma hulumende kanye netinkampani letitimele tingafaka emandla ekutseni lusito lwetemabhizinisi litfolakale masinyane emimangweni. Lokho-ke kungadlala inzima ekuthenini bantfu labasha basungule futhi batfutfukise emabhizinisi abo. Baholi baletinhlangano bebakhuluma ngemuva kwemhlangano lobuke kuhlanganisa imigomo yokusebenta kwetinkhundla kanye-ke nemadolobha i-Local Government Conference.
Lesikubonile itolo ukuthi le hlelo lokumikisa uhulumende etinkhundleni litolo sita sive lapho la sikhona khona ukuthi sikhona utfola ama-services awo ukuthi akhona ukuthi itfutfukisa nanawo. Nawubuka ukuthi nawufuna ukuvula ibhizinisi kufuna ubhizinisi ugibele embabane nyalo lesikubona ngathi kutawendeka nakuhamba kahle wonke umsebenzi wona ukuthi umuntu futhi la khona ke enkhundleni yakhe akhona kufuna lisito akhona ukutfola leyo service layitsingako akhona ukuthi iphilisana naye.
Allen Lloyd Hamusokwe lobukete licwaningo enhlanganweni yebantfu labasha i-Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries Eswatini uthi uma hulumende angacinisa ekuletheni lusito dvutane nesive bantfu labasha bangasheshe batfutfuke kutebhizinisi.
We, as youth, are here to be able to understand exactly the next sort of moves we're going. So I think this move will end up becoming very good for like youth in business because now it'll be much more easier for you to just get out of your sort of house.
Uyachaza ukuthi bantfu labasha bafise nekuthi emabhange nawo abe semimangweni kude kungetuba lukhuni uma badzinga lisito ngetetimali. Kucinisekisa ukuthi amabhizinisi atfola lisito lwetebhizinisi masinyane, hulumende usukumise i-app leyatiwa ngekuthi yi-Government in Your Hand kanye ne-Eswatini Revenue Service Tax Pal. Lobikako Nelson Ngamandla kunavuma Inkosi Nzinisa kumathapha.
Bazalwane belsonvo le Mbabane Alliance Church bathi babhlungu ngekuhamba kwemfundisi wabo Johannes Mazibuko njengemholi waleli bandla. Mabhalane welsonvo le Alliance Church Eugene Simelane uthi kule minyaka Mazibuko angumholi weMbabane Alliance dinenge timfundiso takhe letibakhile tabakhulisa.
Kutsite ngeminyaka wa-2019, Reverend Johannes Mazibuko welisonto leMbabane Alliance wafika eminyakeni lengu-60 kwaba sikhathi sakhe sokuthi athathe umhlalaphansi njengomholi weMbabane Alliance Church. Buholi be-Alliance ke-Eswatini babe sebumketela iminyaka lesihlanu njengomholi lephele inyaka enye. Sekufike kesikhathi sokuthi athathe umhlalaphansi kuchubeke labanye khona eMbabane Alliance. Mabhalane weMbabane Alliance Church Eugene Simelane uthi eqinisweni lonke kubaphethe kabi kuhamba kwemholi wabo.
Vele kube khona la kusithikamete khona etifundisweni takhe nako konke bese kuyihlelile ke nathi ukuthi mhlawumbe utawuchubeka abe nathi wakhanza ke ukuthi letinye ngidawuthi ema conditions ekuchubeka abe sathi vele akathathe umhlala phansi nalisikhulumisana nabo labangedoli kwethu labaphethe.
Sibe sesixoxisana naye-ke umfundisi Mazibuko lesavele acale libandla lelisha lelatiwa nge-The House of Worship Ministries. Kanzi-ke uthi nekuhlala phansi bekungeke kumlungele ngoba kushumayela kulubito kuye.
Ngeke ngaba sebhunya khona-ke ngathi nangisuka ngitembabane ngabaqela ngathi nje kubebede lo ngilandzelako. Umphumela wakhona ubemubi bakhona labalahlekile ekukholweni. Nyalo ngeke ngilende liphutha ngithi kube bede lo ngilandzelako lova ukuthi le dam lebengibapha yona beyimnanzi beyinatheka is welcome.
Yona iMbabane Alliance bunjani budlelwane currently bayimukele njani noma basimukele njani sinqumo sakho sokuqala iministry lenje?
Ndlondlo kube imarathon ukuhamba sesifikela. So ngicabanga ukuthi sifike lapho noma siyavumelana noma sivumelane kodwa kubite ukuthi sivumelane lokusasivumelana. Hayi ngekulwa kepha ngekubuka ukuthi nawuthi angihlale lapha kanti ngiva ukuthi ngisesenemandla ngidawuba frustrated lapha lokungenzeka ngisheshe ngife njengoba ngisesenawe emandla angendelele ngiva ukuthi uNkulunkulu uthi angikwende.
Bekulisondvukele kuqala ashumayela ebandleni lakhe lelisha Mazibuko ngemuva kweminyaka lengu-23 aseMbabane Alliance. Kubika Giyani Msibingi nasamkelisiwe Khoza siseMbabane.
Temidlalo likhethelo lesive sihlangu semnikati sicale imidlalo yeKhosafa lonyaka ngekudlala ngekulingana nelikhethelo lesive laseMadagascar ngeligoli linye kulinye. Indzebe yalonyaka idlalelwa eveni laseNingizimu Afrika edolobheni laseBloemfontein.
Lithemba lisetule eMeswatini ukuthi likhethelo lakuleli litakwenta kahle kundzebe yeKhosafa yalonyaka njengoba tanga seliphakamise lendzebe emlandweni. Ikhethelo lakuleli sihlangu semnikati alikaqali-ke kahle emidlalweni yeKhosafa yalonyaka emidlalweni wokuqala kulandzela kungadlala ngekulingana neMadagascar ngeligoli linye kulinye. Kulo mdlalo kuyiwe ekhefini ehamba imbili yona iMadagascar ngeligoli linye ecandzeni. Esigabeni sesibili ibuyile sihlangu sathola ligoli lekulinganisa lelishaye nguJunior Makakula. Kudlala ngekulingana kwaso sihlangu kusho ukuthi sekumele sinqobe emidlalweni wekugcina kuGroup C ngalesithathu nasidlala neTanzania. iMadagascar yenqobe emidlalweni wokuqala kuTanzania ngeligoli linye ecandzeni lokwente ukuthi sihlangu kumele sinqobe lokungenani ngemagoli amabili kuya etulu. Indzebe yeKhosafa yalonyaka idlalelwe eveni laseNingizimu Afrika edolobheni leBloemfontein. Lobikako uLinda Dlamini kaStitfombe titfolakale kaKhosafa.
Tingakwenza badethu futhi eSiswati sitawubuka simo selitulu sibahlolo emakethe sitawubuya sicocisane nebaka MTN.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba-researche, bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokusemndeni.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you'll go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. As mentioned earlier, we will be joined by the Corporate Affairs Manager at MTN, Thandwa Inkosi Dlamini. Sikhuluma kabanti nge-21 days of Yellow King. Msebenzi lona lo endiwa ngiyo to reach out to communities, especially vulnerable communities, kuzama kuba lekelela ngetimvo labadidingako. Sitakhuluma ukuthi imonakalo lendeka kweveni baningi bantfwana labadzingile kuningi lapho tindzawo tidzinga lusito khona. Is this an initiative ya MTN kuzama nje kuhlangabetana nesive lesidzingile? Namuhla ke ngu-day 10 wayo le campaign. Sifuna kuva ukuthi ingabe ngitiphi tindzawo lesabativakashele, how many communities, how many emaswati have they reached out to since the inception of this campaign? A very good morning, Thandwa. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. Such a huge and great initiative by MTN. Gumanju, just before we get into projects that you'll be engaged into this year, just take us back. It's this year's the 18th year. So 21 days of your luck. Tell us more about the concept. And MTN as Asugumi is such a huge project. What were the gaps that were seen in the country?
Thank you very much, Lulu. Siyabonga kakhulu kuba nathi today. We're very excited to be here to speak about the 21 Days of Yellow Can. This is the 18th year that MTN Group has been running 21 Days of Yellow Care. Nathi gesing MTN Eswatini sendanjalo ukuthi siranishe those activities every year for a period of 21 days every year in June. We go and we impact isive semaswati and just ensure nathi siyabambisa live la singabambisa khona to enhance the lives of emaswati. And maybe just to unpack a bit of what 21 Days of Yellow Care is. This is what I think is a beautiful concept by MTN. For a period of 21 days, MTN goes out there to the communities to enhance, to impact Dimpilo Demaswati. It's a volunteering program by MTN staff. And every year we have a specific theme. Lelanzela a research that we do. What are the gaps? What are the areas where we can enhance Emma communities? And we have focused on education. Last year, our main focus was to enhance the space of education. And we did a lot of projects to enhance Dimpilo Debamphana Eskolweni. We built schools, Emma classrooms. We had Emma ablution facilities built for Tikola Lapokona. They needed that. We gave books, we gave laptops to different type of communities within the education space, including Gumbe Bamphana who are disabled, including Bamphana in underprivileged areas, and all of that. And Lonyagage, our theme is connecting communities through digital platforms. Okay. And we're very excited because, if you speak about the digital world, digital platforms, that is our nature as MTN. So we believe every person deserves a modern connected life. And we are very excited. This year, we are embarking on a various number of activities sibambisene with a various number of our stakeholders as well. Sibambise live just to ensure when it comes to development, when it comes to the digital world. Yeah. So we are looking at bridging the digital divide in the country. And last week We have already been out there. Siyile nje eMbukwane esikolweni where we were actually eShiselweni in the Shiselweni region where we were actually running or rather building a solar powered borehole.
Oh, great.
Yes, the MTN team was on the ground. We were digging, we were putting up solar panels, bekukuhle impela, and kusijabulise kakhulu as well when we got there because the community was so excited. Sithe sifika nje sathola batali nebamfa besikolo babambe amapiki babambe amafosholo nembala. Everyone was so excited. Everyone was so excited. The team yaka MTN was so excited to be there. And by the end of the day, skolo lebeside emandi, you know, having a frustration yokuthi kude emandi, they had running water by the end of the day. And itolo besise UNESWA in partnership with the UNESWA AI Academy, where we are educating botishela in various areas of the country at grassroots level about AI. You know, the topic of AI is a buzzing topic everywhere in the world these days. And uma ngabe usalela emuva, you know, in the topic of AI, then usalela emuva even with the development or the direction of development that the whole world is going towards. So traditionally, bokhanza ukuthi kuthiwa i-development iqala etinzaweni lapho khona sekunentuthuko tsite or urban areas or urban countries. So siteke tsine lo nyaka, we want to change that. Everyone should move at the same pace as a country. So we went, in fact, we partnered with the Ministry of Education, we partnered with Nando's, we partnered with UNESWA AI Academy, and we are bringing this training to Botishela because we also believe Botishela being the carriers of education, but they pass the message down to their students as well. We have an e-commerce training for e-business community. We're partnering with a peculiar people and we'll be conducting e-commerce training where business even Eswatini, how can they leverage digital platforms to expand their businesses? And we're very excited we're having these conversations with them namuhla. Nakusasa futhi siyaqhubeka with the same conversation of e-commerce, however with the farming community now. Sibambisene Nam board, and we're going to be bringing this training to the farmers in the country, and we're very excited about that as well. So we're just looking to touch different areas at grassroots level in the country. To bridge a digital divide.
All right. So over the past years, the MTN Eswatini has reached out to over 100,000 eMaswati. You know, nzama kusita lapha na lapha. What's the situation on the ground? You know, how bad is poverty? You did mention go to this year you're focusing on bridging digital divide. Some schools do not have computer labs. How bad is it lemakhaya?
Utekaya nimbela lulu ukuthi sidingo sikhulu, which is I think one of the things that really excites us as a country, as a company, as we go out to our stakeholders and we have these conversations, because we all understand the need and we all understand the importance and the urgency of us to respond to the need. And in general, such as computers, those are some of the projects that we embarked on. For instance, in our 21 days of Yellow Care last year, sibambisene nabo bo ESCOM, sibambisene nabo PC systems netinkampani letehlukahlukene to provide these need or for this need at community level when it comes to the education space.
Yeah, so speaking of your commitment and determination, you know, MTN staff and they volunteer. Over the years, we've entered your 18th year, so as MTN staff. Teamwork, teamwork.
If you can go to our social media platforms, you will see the excitement in Team Yaga MTN as we go out there in the communities, because as it's something that is life-changing to us as well as MTN staff. I'm actually changing somebody's life. I'm actually doing something that will make somebody's day, make somebody's life better. So in terms of Kubambisana Lulu, the team is very excited excited. The team is on the ground. The team is pushing office to go, to the communities and just help people. And as we're having conversations with the team as well, these are the things that we are hearing. Guys, we need to come back here and just, make sure they're doing well. I made an example last week and as we were just having conversations with the team, everyone was noticing something actually that we could come back and do that for the school next, and stuff like that. The team is very excited. And I think in terms of a culture as well, we've been able as a team, MTN, to cultivate a culture that just says, every June, guys, we pause everything that we can to go out and change people's lives, and we love doing it. The team is very excited, and the team loves doing this work for the community of Eswatini.
Okay, so what's the company's long-term vision? Can we anticipate that it can be more than 21 days? Vision MTN going forward with this project.
Definitely, the campaign is something that will continue. It's been running for the past 18 years, and definitely this is something that will continue. Last year, because MTN was celebrating a 30-year anniversary, MTN Group, so we had it run for 30 days. And so 21 days, we definitely are looking into as the company grows bigger, we would love to extend this to be even longer than the 21 days. And we're very excited, even as it is right now, we are able to actually just pause what we can pause and for a period of 21 days go out, impact communities and do things that we literally are seeing the evidence of people's lives being changed.
Yeah, speaking of people's lives being changed, let's talk about the impact that this project or the campaign has had on various communities in the country. Solar panels, computer labs. Let's talk about the impact that this campaign has had over the years.
We have definitely touched every year we have a specific theme. So we have definitely been intentional about touching different areas, touching different people and different needs, providing for different needs. There's a project that we did, Elunzi, a farming project for the youth. Elunzi, they have a greenhouse. And this is something that has become an income generation activity for the youth there because it's now a business. They're able to grow vegetables and sell them. And also doing something productive with their lives. Instead of being in the streets, they're out there doing something productive and contributing positively to the economy as well. Because to run their farm. So this is just an example of some of the projects that we have done. We have developed, or rather built, another project that was very heartwarming. We built an ablution facility for Skola Sasemzimpofu, Skola Lesncane Sasemzimpofu. And when we got there, it was just so heartbreaking to see where Bamfana were using pit latrine ablutions. And through 21 days of yellow care, we were able to build an appropriate ablution facility for them. So these are the little stories, or these are the stories of the actual work that happens on the ground. And example that I can use, last year we were able to donate computer facilities to Bamfana laba deaf, and another life-changing activity. There's a lot of stories that we can tell. And in fact, Lulu, whilst on that, we will be launching, as part of 21 Days of Yellow Care, we will be launching a podcast where we are going to be telling these stories, where nemaswati atawukhona kubona lo msebenzi nanetidzingo that are on the ground. Where nawe nje Lulu, as you are seeing these stories, you can be able to stand up and say, hey, I can actually, partner with that project and just change somebody's life and do something about it. So I'm very excited. Would see the evidence of people's lives being changed through 21 days of Yellow Care is there, and it continues. And we look forward to more stories and more testimonies even this year.
Okay, so Tanda, for the rest of the days in Dabanigupi, which areas are you going to visit as MTN?
Yes, that's. I love that question, Lulu, because now we're speaking about the activities that we are doing this year. We partnered with the UNESCO AI Academy, and we're running a training for all of this year. All of this week for Emma Botishela at grassroots level. And then another project that we're very excited about is the e-commerce trainings. We're doing that for a business community in partnership with A Peculiar People, and we're also running another one for farmers in partnership with NAMBOARD. And one of the most exciting projects this year is we partnered with the Ministry of ICT, go project Yaboya Government in Your Hand. So we are very excited because now when you listen to the Minister of ICT speak about this vision, you see it's something that will literally change our lives as Emaswati. So we're very excited to be partnering with them as well. And we also will be dropping a podcast to tell these stories, and also just to make sure lama conversations that we have during the trainings, they actually are accessible to more people, and they actually are in a platform where you can access that information. We also are putting up solar powered boreholes at in the country, and we're also partnering with the Ministry of Works. You know, when you speak about connecting communities, the most basic is access to that community. So we're very excited about the road access, the road access project as well, where we sit down communities to make sure a community go travel in their space. And most importantly, this project is focused on Emma primary schools in the country. So Lomkwato is leading towards primary schools in the country. So we're very excited about that as well.
Okay. All
yes.
Right. All the best. Thank you so much, Tanda, for joining us. This is a campaign or a drive by MTN, 21 Days of Yellow Care. It's 10th day, so now my projects are vulnerable communities in the country. Let's go for an ad break.
Welcome to Eswatini Lifestyle. This is your ultimate guide to the entertainment, to the lifestyle and the culture of Eswatini.
Eswatini Lifestyle. Eswatini Lifestyle.
Eswatini Lifestyle.
From 6:30 to 7 p.m. On Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
On Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze. Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhiqiza lokusembili.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Kusile Breakfast Show, the Tuesday edition. Now the news. The President of the Republic of Mozambique, Daniel Chapo, has arrived in Eswatini to embark on a state visit at the invitation of His Majesty King Mswati III. President Chapo landed at King Mswati III International Airport on Monday morning.
The President of the Republic of Mozambique, His Excellency Daniel Francisco Chapo, was received by the acting Prime Minister, Senator Kusile upon his arrival at King Mswati III International Airport. The Mozambican president is in the country at the invitation of His Majesty King Mswati III. His visit is set to cement ties between the Kingdom of Eswatini and the Republic of Mozambique, which were established in the 1970s. Sworn into office in Maputo in January as the 5th president of Mozambique, President Chapo vowed to devote all his energies to defending, promoting and consolidating national unity and the well-being of the over 35 million people of Mozambique. The 48-year-old head of state first demonstrated remarkable leadership as the governor of Inyambane province between 2016 and 2024. The president recently held diplomatic talks with the president of Malawi, Lazarus Chakwera, as part of his outreach to leaders of neighboring states. As the president starts his visit in the kingdom, relations between the two countries, strengthened by collaborative efforts in various sectors, are set to take a giant leap forward. The president was scheduled to meet with Her Majesty the Indlovukazi at Lutsitsini Royal Residence before holding talks with His Majesty King Mswati III at Lozita Palace. This is a report by Sandile Makanya and Temba Mamba at King Mswati III International Airport.
President of the Republic of Mozambique, His Excellency Daniel Chapo, has paid a courtesy visit to His Majesty King Mswati III and Her Majesty the Indlovukazi. The President's audience with Their Majesties followed his arrival in the country on Monday morning.
Upon his arrival in the kingdom on Monday morning, President Daniel Chapo of the Republic of Mozambique paid a courtesy visit to His Majesty King Mswati III at Manvulo Grand Hall in Lozita on Monday evening. His Majesty the King extended a warm welcome to the President and his accompanying delegation. The President, who was sworn into office in January, was presented with an extraordinary opportunity to gain insight from His Majesty, as he is now entrusted with the responsibility of improving the welfare of over 35 million Mozambicans. Newly elected presidents from neighboring states have maintained a long-standing tradition of paying a visit to their majesties to seek advice on leadership, governance, and navigating complex situations while in office. Following his arrival in the kingdom on Monday morning, President Daniel Chapo paid a courtesy visit to Her Majesty the Indlovukazi at Lutsitsini Royal Residence. Her Majesty extended a warm welcome to the President and his accompanying delegation. The President, who was sworn into office in January, was presented with an extraordinary opportunity to gain insight from Her Majesty, as he is now entrusted with the responsibility of improving the welfare of over 35 million Mozambicans. Newly elected presidents from neighboring states have maintained a long-standing tradition of paying a visit to their majesties to seek advice on leadership, governance, and navigating complex situations while in office. Private talks between the Indlovukazi and the president were anticipated to center on the exchange of knowledge on such issues as the welfare of the elderly, women and children. Both countries have women empowerment projects which aim to improve the lives of women by increasing their economic opportunities, education opportunities and access to resources, while also promoting gender equality. Upon his arrival in the country, President Chapo hit the ground running. The president delivered a keynote address at the Eswatini Mozambique Business Forum at the Royal Villas in Ezulwini, where he called for the dismantling of trade barriers between Eswatini and Mozambique. The president said the neighboring countries stand to benefit from shoring up trade exchanges in areas such as energy, tourism and agriculture. The business forum was attended by 50 members of the Mozambique business community and business leaders from the two countries. The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade was represented by the Minister of Health, Duduzi Matsebula. This is a report by Sandile Makanya, Zwele Masuku and Temba Mamba at Lutsitsini Royal Residence.
Government has introduced a leadership code of conduct bill to enforce transparency, strengthen accountability to ensure that leaders lead with integrity. The bill was introduced by the Honourable Minister of Justice, Prince Melane.
The Minister of Justice, in conjunction with the Commission on Human Rights, officially introduced the Leadership Code of Conduct Bill before the Ministry's House of Assembly Portfolio Committee. Presenting the bill, the Honourable Minister of Justice, Prince Melane, said this bill is designed to strengthen accountability and further enforce higher standards of integrity among public officials.
Ingwenyama beyiqondisa lokho kuthi otiphatha imandla labasemagunyeni kokuthi bathi phathe kahle angende umfu mathanda ungathi ukakhe.
The Honourable Minister says this bill will focus on issues such as assets declaration, conflict of interest, and responsible leadership. He says this bill is about restoring public trust and that leaders must not only serve but do so transparently and ethically. Deputy Commissioner of the Commission on Human Rights, Chief Dambuza Kede, says the country needs a legal framework that does not only outline expected behavior for leaders, but also ensures outcome for misconduct.
Tonke tinto tanjiswa ngemthetho siubukisise siuve ukuthi usitshela kuthini usibhekisa ngoba live vele lidzinge kakhulu ekwekutheni lidziyeliswe.
Whereas Chairperson of the Ministry of Justice House of Assembly Portfolio Committee, Michael Masilela, says it is more than just a legal reform, but it's a crucial step towards building investor confidence and restoring public trust.
Kuba nemithetho letawugavunisha kutiphatsa kwethu thina sitiphathimandla ngilokuthi awusita ama-investors ngokuthi eteve ngoba ayati ukuthi ngete senta nje lesikufunako.
The Honourable Committee also called for public involvement when drafting local policies. Reporting Samgalsiwe Khoza and Themba Shabangu, Ezulwini.
Newly appointed Senator Prince Kekela has been officially sworn in. The senator took the oath of office in Parliament chambers on Monday.
Following the appointment of Prince Kekela to Senate by His Majesty King Mswati III, the newly appointed Senator Prince Kekela has officially been sworn in Parliament chambers, making a new chapter in Senator Kekela's public career. Senator Kekela took the oath of office, pledging to uphold the Constitution and serve with integrity, transparency, and dedication to the people. Whereas Senate President Senator Lindiwe Dlamini and Deputy Senate President Senator Ndumiso Mdluli welcomed the senator to the House.
Lapha sePhalamende ashido siva nathi siyavuseleleka siphatha livalo kabusha sithemba ukuthi udane lwathi olukhulu kakhulu olutawusimisa likhona ukuthi iqhubekele phambili impuma alawo magama manje president ngibongela siyabonga nangosuku lawusebenza kahle.
According to the Senate President, the Senate will now review the current structure of the Senate portfolio committees to accommodate the newly sworn-in senator. Reporting Samgalsiwe Khoza and Themba Shabangu, Parliament.
The snow that is experienced in some parts of South Africa will not affect Eswatini. Weather forecaster Buhle Simelane says Eswatini will continue experiencing rainfall and heavy wind, and temperatures will drop in the next few days.
Luckily for us as a country of Eswatini, we are safe from that, even though most of the systems that comes from the western part of Africa, they normally affect us. But in this case, in terms of snow, it won't affect us. But the temperatures will drop also in our country, whereby we expect the high felt in the country from tomorrow up to Saturday to drop below 20 degrees Celsius. Places like Mbabane, Pispik, and Hlangano tomorrow will drop to 16 degrees Celsius. And the Mittelfeld, that is Banzen and surroundings, will drop to 19 degrees Celsius. And the high feld will drop to 23 degrees Celsius. Those are maximum temperatures, and that system is expected to go on until Friday, like I've said. And on Wednesday, temperatures will drop to 16 as well, as much as Thursday. Also, they'll drop up to 16 degrees, and Friday will drop to 18 degrees Celsius, and Saturday will drop to 17 degrees Celsius. Those are the areas that are in the high felt of the country. Otherwise, even the minimum temperatures also are not left behind, because there'll be very, very low temperatures over most parts of the country, especially those ones that are in the high grounds, like Mbabane, Pispik, and Hlangano. The minimum for tomorrow, which is Tuesday, it will go down to a minimum of 5 degrees Celsius.
Ex-miners who were working in the mines in South Africa have raised concerns that the process for them to get a share of the 5 billion malangeni from the Tiamiso Trust is tedious.
The 5 billion Malanger Compensation Fund was set aside by South African mining companies in 2018 to compensate all former mine workers who contracted the lung disease known as silicosis. The Eswatini Migrant Mine Workers Association has been conducting screenings for the disease since the 26th of last month. On Monday morning, former mine workers gathered at the Mbabane municipality for testing to determine whether they have the disease. This is what they had to say when speaking to Eswatini TV. The ex-miners say life is difficult as they have not received any money. They complain that government is not taking care of them. The ex-miners say they work for their money and therefore deserve to be paid. Eswatini Migrant Mine Workers Association Programs Officer Thulan Ngamphalala explains further about the screening program for the former mine workers.
Akusitotonke timayini letayifaka le mali. Ngileto nje letisithupha kumbe letinkulu kakhulu.
Ngamphalala says not all mines contributed to the fund. He adds that those found to have silicosis after screening are being paid. Those diagnosed with first-degree silicosis receive 100,000 emalangeni, second-degree cases receive 250,000 emalangeni, and third-degree cases receive 500,000 emalangeni. He further mentions that payouts are determined by the severity of the illness. To date, under the Tiamiso Trust Fund, 1,121 Eswatini nationals former mine workers have been paid a total of 97 million emalangeni. A total of 5,303 former mine workers in the country have registered to benefit from the fund. Reporting Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
The debt to GDP ratio projected to climb to 46%, fears are growing that the kingdom may be on a path to unsustainable borrowing. But chairperson of the Ministry of Finance's Portfolio Committee, Mawik Kumalo, is confident. He says Eswatini is in a strong position with 15 of the debts set to be paid off in just 5 years.
I can safely say, as things stand right now, we have the capacity to pay the loan as a country. But again, we ought to be mindful of the fact that we cannot be borrowing unended, But in terms of international standards, I'll give you an example. In 2024-2025, we were sitting at 42%. Our debt stock was sitting at 42% plus, you know. Now, 2025, 2026, currently, we're hovering around 46%, you see. So I want to believe that, you know, that is still manageable. Eswatini is known for not defaulting. The country has never defaulted in any of its loans. As I'm talking to you right now, between the year 2025 and 2030, within the next 5 years, we would have paid our international debt stock, which amounts to 15 in total.
The chairperson has also highlighted that they want to be more involved from the beginning when the loans are initiated by the Minister of Finance.
We come at the tail end of the process. When the loan is raised and there are negotiations and there are agreements, we don't feature. We only feature once the agreement to say, look, we can now borrow the loan. Then we have to give the approval that you can go ahead and sign and borrow the loan. So I think that's where things stand right now, because we believe that, you know, every loan that is taken, first and foremost, it has to prioritize the interests of the nation.
The 4 billion Emalangeni loan bills will push the debt to gross domestic product ratio to 46%. The International Monetary Fund says a prudent limit for developed countries is around 60% and 40% for developing and emerging economies. The World Bank, however, states that Eswatini's debt risks are mitigated by debt structure. The outlook, according to the World Bank, is moderate. Reporting, Nelson Ngamandla, Vumingo Sinzinisa and Derek Msibi, Ezulwini.
The youth says if governments can put the decentralization program into full motion, this could play a major role in uplifting entrepreneurship. Jose Rego, chairperson of the Eswatini Innovators Association and the Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries, said this shortly after the local government conference held by the Ministry of Dinkundla Administration last week.
If the local government is not prioritized and empowers the citizen at the local community level, it becomes difficult for them to be empowered and to have basic services like public services, which are the first step to being able to innovate and build solutions like registering a company, applying for tax, and all these important things that as an innovator who goes into an enterprise, you must have in your toolkit before you go into the industry.
The Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries Eswatini says they need more services to be decentralized.
We, as youth, are here to be able to understand exactly the next sort of moves we're going. So I think this move will end up becoming very good for like youth in business, because now it'll be much more easier for you to just get out of your sort of house and then just walk to a bank, rather than you being able to now get on 3 kumbis in order for you to just simply just go get a loan or get information about how to be able to sort of survive with business in your life.
In an effort to ensure businesses have easy access to government services, the Government in Your Hand app has been introduced together with the Eswatini Revenue Service Tax PAL. Reporting, Nelson Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Matapa.
And now for international news, environmental organizations in Italy are strongly opposing proposed cruise ship terminal developments, raising alarms about potential environmental harm and changes to urban areas.
About 30 kilometers from Rome is Isola Sacra, Sacred Island in Italian, an area bordered by the Tiber River and the Mediterranean, where lives are ruled by the rhythm of the wind and the sea. It's here that the planned cruise ship port of Fiumicino would be built.
Look, the cruise ships would enter over there. They're huge ships that are about 80 meters tall.
The project would include 750 docking spots for ships and yachts, as well as the quay for cruise ships. Jordan and David live in Fiumicino and are members of a committee that is opposed to the plan.
These big ships create a lot of pollution. We're worried about our health because there's already an international airport in the town that brings its own pollution. This place of ours is a beach area that lives on small-scale fishing. All of this would be destroyed by cruise ship tourism.
Environmental issues are also a concern, as the waters here are home to a large variety of marine species.
It's a site that's home to marine mammals. Dolphins come here to reproduce and bring up their offspring because there are sufficient food resources. The construction of a major port in the zone would modify their behaviour and would endanger their lives and their presence here.
The project would require the dredging of nearly 3 million cubic metres of sand at the port's entrance in order to lower the seafloor so that the cruise ships can pass through.
This will affect the organisms that live at the bottom of the sea and in the sand, all the marine worms, the molluscs, which are the basis of the food chain for many animals.
Fiumicino's town council supports the scheme, which is managed by a private company that owns a concession for the zone. The mayor believes the initiative would bring economic benefits.
We foresee the creation of nearly 5,000 stable jobs. A contribution would be paid to the town council, which should generate at least €5 million every year. That would be reinvested in public work, social services, and in everything that benefits our economy, thanks to this infrastructure.
If the project is given the green light and the port is built, more than 1 million passengers will be able to disembark here every year.
1 year ago, Emmanuel Macron decided to dissolve the National Assembly after acknowledging his party's defeat in the European elections. But instead of the clarification he had hoped for, the snap legislative elections resulted in an even more fragmented political landscape.
On June 9, 2024, after France's far-right National Rally Party won big in the European elections, Emmanuel Macron made a radical decision.
I've decided to give you again the choice of our parliamentary future through the vote. Tonight, I'm dissolving the National Assembly.
It was a high-stakes gamble that threw the country into political chaos. France was called on to elect a new parliament, but division would reign and no party or bloc would reach an absolute majority. The left abruptly formed a new alliance called the New Popular Front and made tactical decisions alongside Macron's centre coalition to block the National Rally from government. They succeeded, but the result was a parliament split in thirds. In an apparent bid to find a middle ground, Macron named Conservative veteran Michel Barnier as Prime Minister. His first task was to secure a budget, a task he failed. He was ousted in a historic vote of no confidence, and France's parliament was paralysed once again.
I decided to dissolve to give you back your say. The decision produced more instability than serenity, and I take full responsibility.
Next up, it was Macron's centrist ally, François Bayrou's shot to be Prime Minister. He was able to achieve what Barnier couldn't and passed the budget by calling on Article 49.3 of the Constitution, meaning he could do so without a vote. He then staved off a potential vote of no confidence with the support of the left-wing socialists, but the unity stopped there. The parliament is still fragile and the French public is displeased. 71% of the population think Macron's decision to dissolve the parliament was a mistake.
As the UN Ocean Conference begins in Nice, our reporter spoke with French scientists dedicated to improving ocean knowledge and conservation. From advanced robots operating 6,000 meters underwater to exploring critical minerals in the Pacific, the team highlights several key initiatives happening across the country.
At the far tip of Brittany's coastline, a team of engineers is trying out a new prototype. 6 months of tests before a journey to the deep seas.
It's great to see it function after 4 years of work.
It's an achievement, you know. What you can see here are floats that are part of the Argo network.
They're going to dive down 6,000 meters. Previous models only reached 2,000 or 4,000.
Nicknamed the ocean's thermometers, the high-tech cylinders are part of a more than 4,000-strong international network dotted across the oceans. They dive several kilometers down and slowly make their way back up to the surface to send back data on the salinity, pressure, and above all, temperature of the water. A cycle on repeat for up to 7 years. A way to see how even the deepest parts of the oceans are warming up.
Argo is an example of unique international cooperation for science, for the planet. It was a quiet revolution for ocean sciences. It allows us to monitor the climate and its changes. Today, we know that roughly 90% of heat emitted by mankind from human activities is stored in the ocean.
There could be troubled waters ahead, though, as half the floats currently in use belong to the US. Climate change projects are in the crosshairs of Donald Trump.
We are withdrawing from the Paris Climate Treaty.
Crippling cuts and mass firings. While some projects are business as usual, French researchers have sometimes seen ties cut with American counterparts.
The Trump administration has made lots of different decisions, including some that are linked to climate change denial, to put it simply. It makes us wonder if the US will continue to invest in these floats, which reach 6,000 meters, or if they will withdraw from the project altogether. These are the sorts of questions we're asking.
France's Ocean Research Center IFREMER has worked with the US for decades, including on the joint discovery of the Titanic shipwreck in 1985. In 2024, 20% of the organization's publications were written with American counterparts, a vital source of knowledge and financial backing.
If Americans pull out of projects, that means a loss of funding. What the Trump administration wants to do is negotiate with science, negotiate with biodiversity, with the climate. But you can't negotiate with science.
In our sports news, the national team Sihlangu Semnikati began their campaign in this year's COSAFA Cup with a 1-1 draw against the national team of Madagascar. This year's tournament is being played in South Africa in the city of Bloemfontein.
There is hope in Eswatini that the national team will do well in this year's COSAFA Cup, as it has never lifted the trophy before. The national team Sihlangu Semnikati has not had the best start in this year's COSAFA Cup after drawing 1-1 with Madagascar in their opening match. In that game, Madagascar took the lead in the first half with a goal scored midway through the period. In the second half, Sihlangu came back and equalized through a goal by Junior Makakula. This draw means that Sihlangu must now win their final Group C match against Tanzania by at least 2 goals. This is because Madagascar won their opening match against Tanzania by a single goal in the first game, which puts pressure on Sihlangu to get a big win. This year's COSAFA is being played in South Africa in the city of Bloemfontein. Reporting, Linda Dlamini, pictures sourced from COSAFA.
It's 28 minutes after 7, and that marks the end of our second bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. We go for an ad break and return shortly.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research
bafunze. Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna senze ukukhiqiza lokusebenzisa.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience.
Welcome to Eswatini Lifestyle. This is your ultimate guide to the entertainment, to the lifestyle and the culture of Eswatini.
Eswatini Lifestyle. Eswatini Lifestyle.
Eswatini Lifestyle.
From 6:30 to 7 p.m. On Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
On Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze. Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna senze ukukhiqiza lokusebenzisa.
The beats are louder, the vibes are bigger, and the stars are shining brighter. This is The Beatdown, your ultimate music and entertainment fix. With me every Saturday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Eswatini Television, Sibuko Semaswati.
Welcome back. It seems as though hopes are up for our national team, Sihlangu Semnigati, who began their campaign in this year's COSAFA Cup with a 1-1 draw against Madagascar. Of course, the man of the match was Twala. And to make sure that we get to really understand how this game really panned out and what our prospects are looking like. Sifuna ke kuxoxisana nethatheli yemsakato yetemidlalo lenda Master Dlamini lota sita nje kusichazela ukuthi engabe siseta ukuchubeka kuyo iCOSAFA Cup engabe sibukeka ngathi sitawina yini noma ngabe sitawudliwa kodwa ke kumcwa kakhulu nje ukuthi Madagascar ikhonile ikora goal lecala nje ku 41 minutes through la line Fano Mezantsoa kanti-ke live lakangwane Sihlangu Semnikati sibese siya equalizer ku-62 minutes nge-superb free kick leshaywe ngu-Andy Junior Magagula. Umdlalo-ke ubese uphela ku-1-1 kanti-ke Eswatini lipoint linye noma-ke liphuzu linye kanti-ke iMadagascar nayo is-sealed progression from Group C with 4 points from 2 games. Masibuka-ke some of the performance highlights kuyaveta lo ukuthi Sihlangu Semnikati sikhombise ukutimisela lokukhulu with the resilience yakhona rebound from that first half deficit ekuthenini ikhone kusecurisha that share of the points 1-1 apiece with yona iMadagascar kanti-ke kwakhethwala of course and the man of the match award for his all-round energy as well as his impact. He has continued to show brilliance kuwo ema-games lakhona adlalela khona Sihlangu Semnikati kanti-ke uma ngabe nje vele hlala ulandzela kuvane nisathe litete emsakato tiyaye tisho lo ukuthi kwakhethwala is such a great and superb player who has a great future ahead of him. So we do want to understand ekuthenini siseta ukuchubeka with these group implications la ngaba khona laveta ukuthi Eswatini continues to, this draw rather keeps them competitive Group C, but they will need a win in their next game later against Tanzania. They will have realistic hopes of reaching the knockout stage. So in summary, we can say Sihlangu fought back impressively to earn a worthy draw in their opener, setting a solid foundation, of course, as they target a positive result in their upcoming match. Linda Master Dlamini ngisathele emsakato lesifuna ukuthi asichazele ukuthi engabe vele kusaqhutshekwa embili Sihlangu Semnikati sibona ngathi sitawukhona yini ku securisha. Master sikuvusele Nkosi sikwamukele ehlelweni sijoyina ngelicingo lomhla kuseni sifuna nje react kunangumdlalo weSihlangu Semnikati 1-1. Is it a score that you expected against Madagascar? Madagascar bayivetele ukuthi iyasesaba.
Avuthele mnguni zivuthele nako ukumbukelo wa Eswatini TV namhla ekseni ukhuluma yona indaba yesihlangu lesikhona ku COSAFA 2025 eBloemfontein. Sidlalele igame yokuqala njengoba sozotile ukuthi sidlale ngekulingana nga 1-1. Akusiyo ke mhlawumbe imvo engingasho ukuthi iyasivuma kahle. Iyasivuma kona kodwa sekufaka ku pressure ukuthi sekumele ukuthi egameni lelandelayo Tanzania kusasa sewine lokungenani ngemagoli amabili kuya eTulu. Ngicabanga ukuthi tonke letinto leto sibengethine ngoba na ubuka ukuthi kugame yayitolo icorrect qala iMadagascar ke seyinako ke kuseyisa njengoba yakhumbula ukuthi nakuchani ngiyo lesikhokhile asifunanga nje kuya asikhoni kuya kunzebe echani ledlalwa abadlali basekhaya ngenxa yeMadagascar sa-drawa saphinde sayokhala phasi khona eMadagascar. Ngicabanga ukuthi tonke letinto leto njengoba ngisho ukuthi sitende thine igame yayitolo cishe first 10-15 minutes nasiyibuka bobona ngathi konke kusahamba kahle kodwa-ke iMadagascar efile yakora kwashintsha ku-1-0. Second half kutamile coach kwenza lawo ma-changes wamfaka Sikhali wamfaka Felix labane ngiyathi ukuthi babuka le age yabo players ukuthi bekangafakwa egemini kanje but bekabaqalisile badlala abanjengabo Philani Mkhondo Mayibongwe bonke labo cishe ngasho ukuthi abakadlali kahle first half. Second half vele bese sifuna leyo experience ligolile le-equalizer kwaba ngu-1-1. Sazama futhi sawathola nama-chances wawacreate ama-chances ngicabanga ukuthi kwagcina kungakavumi yaphela igame nga-1-1. Labanyenti-ke bebagade kubona i-combination yaPupu na-Junior la khasi ku-midfield but ngibe worried nangibona umdlali onjenga-Justice Figueiredo igame ayiqala ku-midfield ngathi udlala 6 first 20-30 minutes anga-understand ukuthi Justice Figueiredo siyamathi ukuthi yi-winger noma striker ukuthi angadlala i-midfield njani. Ngicabanga ukuthi ama-tactics akhe coach ngiwo mhlambe le ngasho ukuthi ngikhala ngawo kakhulu egemini yayitolo because nawubuka nje ukuthi ku-backline uqala uqale adlala nga-3 Tiger adlala i-wing back ngala ka-right so vele ngicabanga ukuthi kakhulu ngikhala kakhulu ngama-tactics akhe coach egemini itolo ngicabanga ukuthi utawuzama improve against Tanzania kusasa kuTanzania ngithi ngisho lokhu iTanzania ngelisongo beyidlala i-friendly game neSouth Africa so le dlala leKOSAFA akusiyo iTanzania le-A-team not even B-team ngicabanga ukuthi angekeke bese sesiya mhlambe sikhale kakhulu ngokuthi Tanzania kunama-teams la strong kunathi but kumele ukuthi siyiwine le game leyo because si-strong kunabo silethe our A team ngasho nje ukuthi the best lesinabo only 2 internationals langekho kule tournament le Mxolisi udlala eBotswana Nalindo lodlala eZambia otherwise we have a star lodlala England yes a young star lodlala England we also have umdlalo odlala amaZulu itolo ngimbonile ungenile so ngaba ukuthi kule tournament le ngithi vele lesilise our best squad bekumele ukuthi sifike kuma semi-final nakuma semi-final mhlawumbe isindo sihambe kahle kumele ukuthi sindlulele kuma final.
Master kuze sifike kuma knockout stages le win against Tanzania itaba mcwa kakhulu. I do want to get your sentiment around le squad less uyashilo ukuthi most people were looking forward to kuyobona le combination yabo Pupu and you also raising your own concerns from what you saw coming from the coaching staff. Going forward, what needs to be fixed in order for us to secure this win against Tanzania?
Kulula kakhulu ngiboni na siyabuka njengoba ngisho nje ukuthi kule game le yakusasa asende nje the basics siyabuyela sidlala nga4 emuva amthatha kwakho umdlalisa lo 3 then gift uyapartnerisha either namabelesa noma namasangane between but masangane kakhulu besadlala i-right back ile part yokusho ukuthi ampartnerisha namabelesa then una Innocent Makhehleni labe kahlele benchini mbuyisele umdlalisele lo 6 then ube nalo 2 lambi kwakhe lokungu junior naye Mpupu lokusho ukuthi i-creativity unayo then Makhehleni utawuletha le balance then Figueiredo adlale ngicabanga ukuthi ngale ka right lo tawuthatha ima defenders on then Philani aqhamuka ngala ka left then Sikhali umthophise simple kanjalo nje udlala le 4-3-3 that 4-3-3 letakunika ibalance ku-midfield njengoba bese ngivetile amakhehleni Innocent then i-creativity yaPupu na Junior then i-pace ya Figueiredo nangalaphi lane bese kuthi Sikhali uyathi ukuthi cishe because sibonile itolo ukuthi ema-crosses first half bekangena bekagcina nje umdlali lo njengasikhali or maybe i-height ya Felix second half lesingakuboni kwendeka lokho sebangenile those 2 players lengabalako dingo nje letincane kakhulu understand angisolo ngiyatibuta ukuthi ingabe coach wambona kuphi Figueiredo wadlala i-midfield isolo ngiyatibuta ngiyamangala but kasadi because nguyelo hlala nebadlala ecampini again uya understand ukuthi coach ufike last Monday kujoyina yona i-national team abuya khona Saudi Arabia nakafika ufika wenda lama-changes lawo asimati ukuthi eSaudi Arabia ufundzeni but kaba ukuthi batawulungisa kusasa bona i-technical bench national team lokunye lesikubonile itolo mnguni ukuthi sibone Bongiswa wakadlamini goalkeeper awe mbabona solo enda i-debut yakhe athola i-debut yakhe I think it's long overdue ukuthi athole that first game ku-national team brilliant goalkeeper lengakhuluma ngaye asesekumanzini Wanderers sikhuluma sina mlingani wami Phathizwa kaMsidi asesekumanzini Wanderers ukuthi a very very good young goalkeeper lone future lenhle ku-national team simbonile awenda mhlambe those couple of stays lendile ukuthi iMadagascar ingakori 2 igoli lesibili noma lesithathu ngicabanga ukuthi utawukhula kuyo i-national team and ngicabanga ukuthi igoli lakhe kudlala vele ngaphandle kwelive this is the right platform ukuthi akhule adlale ngaphandle kwelive but ngicabanga ukuthi igame yakusasa nje kumele ukuthi siyiwine lokungenani simshaya 3 goals bese asisaconcede siqhubekele kuwo ama-semifinals ngi-confident kakhulu ukuthi egemini yakusasa sizawuwina.
Linda Masladla Minswa kakhulu isikhathi sakho. He is our sports journalist and analyst lapha ekhaya Eswatini TV. Is reacting to the 1-1 draw against Madagascar at the opener of our COSAFA Cup participation, a game that was played yesterday at Dr. Petrus Stadium lapha at Bloemfontein. He's also giving us a snapshot of what we should expect, with optimism, of course, against Tanzania as we continue to battle it out in Group C of the COSAFA. Should we want to reach the knockout stage, and indeed, he says that we are looking good. Just a few tweaks that our coaching staff need to make. So we'll be watching that game closely, and hopefully we'll be able to react as these games progress. Outside of that, the Oceans Conference that is continuing in France and Nice. We have heard a lot of stories that have been covered by our journalist Thembi Nkosi Mavimbela, our own Prime Minister. He's the Right Honourable His Excellency Prime Minister Russell Miso Dlamini is also, partaking, representing His Majesty King Mswati III, is at the United Nations Ocean Conference in Nice, which is co-hosted by France and Costa Rica. We want to listen to some of the remarks that have been made by the United Nations, where in his remarks, the Secretary General said that although the sea that has sustained life for millennia, we are failing to protect the ocean thanks to overfishing, plastic pollution, and rising temperatures. Let's listen.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. The Secretary General delivered remarks this morning at the opening of the UN Ocean Conference in Nice, which is co-hosted by France and Costa Rica. In his remarks, the Secretary General said that although the sea that has sustained life for millennia, we are failing to protect the ocean thanks to overfishing, plastic pollution, and rising temperatures. He urged all countries that have not yet ratified the Agreement on Marine Biological Diversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction to do so. He also issued a strong call to all countries to agree on an ambitious and legally binding treaty on plastic pollution this year. Underscoring his support for the work of the International Seabed Authority, the Secretary General said the deep sea cannot become the Wild West. Mr. Guterres urged member states to advance progress on Sustainable Development Goal 14, which is unfortunately one of the least funded SDGs. He encouraged the conference participants to be bold in all their efforts, saying, "The ocean of our ancestors, teeming with life and diversity, can be more than legend. It can be our legacy." In the afternoon, the Secretary General spoke at the Africa for the Ocean event, co-hosted by Morocco and France. In his remarks, the Secretary General said that with over 30,000 kilometers of coastline and 38 coastal states, Africa is a maritime powerhouse. Its future is also written in the waters, he said, adding that this blue wealth is too often undervalued and overexploited. He said that investments have too often bypassed Africa, even as its marine resources were exploited by others. Also this afternoon, the Secretary General had a productive meeting with civil society representatives from around the world active in ocean action. He highlighted the current paradox. Despite major breakthroughs such as the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework and the Agreement on Marine Biological Diversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction, the crisis facing the oceans is worsening. The Secretary General noted similar dynamics in climate action. While renewable energy is expanding rapidly, emissions continue to rise. The ocean climate connection, he warned, is deteriorating, marked by rising temperatures, accelerating sea level rise, glacier melt, coral bleaching, and growing plastic pollution. He also pointed to the threat of mass displacement from vulnerable river deltas. He emphasized the importance of civil society perspectives, momentum, and insights to accelerate progress and increase global attention on ocean, climate, and biodiversity action. On the sidelines of the conference, the Secretary General held a number of bilateral meetings. We shared the readouts of those meetings with you. Turning to the worsening emergency in Gaza, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says that the crisis has reached unprecedented levels of despair as people continue to go hungry across Gaza. Many are forced to risk their lives in search of food as we receive more reports of people being killed and injured near non-UN distribution sites. According to the International Committee of the Red Cross, just this morning, 29 casualties arrived at the ICRC field hospital in West Rafah, 8 of whom were dead. Almost all had explosive trauma wounds, with 2 others admitted with gunshot wounds. The UN reiterates that civilians must always be protected. No person, anywhere, should be forced to choose between risking one's life and feeding one's family. Fuel stocks in Gaza are critically low, putting further strain on critical services and humanitarian operations. Over the weekend, some 260,000 liters of fuel were looted in northern Gaza. Prior to this, the UN had repeatedly attempted to reach these stocks to retrieve them, but these attempts were denied by the Israeli authorities. Since the 15th of May, the missions to retrieve this fuel were denied by the Israeli authorities 14 times. Our attempts to reach fuel supplies in Rafah, in the south of Gaza, also continue to be denied. The UN warns that unless a solution is found in the coming days, the entire aid operation could come to a standstill. Since the Israeli authorities allowed limited amounts of aid to enter Gaza on 19th of May, the UN and our partners have only been able to collect about 4,600 metric tons of wheat flour from the Kerem Shalom crossing. Most of it was taken by desperate, starving people before the supplies reached their destinations. In some cases, the supplies were looted by armed gangs. We reiterate that Israel, as the occupying power, bears responsibility with regards to public order and safety in Gaza. That should include letting in far more essential supplies through multiple crossings and routes to meet humanitarian needs and help reduce looting. Our partners working on food security in Gaza estimate that between 8,000 and 10,000 metric tons of wheat flour is required to reach all families across the Strip, with at least a single bag of flour to ease the pressure on markets and reduce desperation, alongside other diverse food supplies. Beyond this, the sustained and unrestricted flow of aid into Gaza must resume as soon as possible. Over the weekend, there were no missions to collect supplies from the Kerem Shalom crossing. The Israeli authorities informed us that the crossing would remain closed on Friday and Saturday. We also continue to face major impediments that hamper our ability to conduct these operations. These impediments include unacceptably dangerous routes, a severe shortage of vetted drivers, and delays with our teams having to wait often for hours for military activities to pause. Today, the UN is leading a mission to deliver supplies that entered via Kerem Shalom to Gaza City. That movement is still ongoing, so we won't have more to share before tomorrow. Meanwhile, in the West Bank, operations by the Israeli forces in the north have continued over the past week, destroying roads and disrupting Palestinians' access to essential services. The UN and our humanitarian partners continue to respond, including by providing water, sanitation, and hygiene assistance to tens of thousands of displaced Palestinians in the northern West Bank. Turning to Lebanon, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs remains gravely concerned by the humanitarian impact of ongoing military activities on civilians, including in the wake of Israel's airstrikes on Beirut's southern suburbs late last Thursday, just ahead of Eid al-Adha. Additional strikes were recorded in the southern village of Ain Qana that same night. Thousands of residents from the densely populated neighborhoods targeted by the Israeli airstrikes on June 5th fled their homes following displacement orders. This marks the 4th such strike on Beirut since the cessation of hostilities came into effect in November 2024. Civilians in Lebanon continue to be affected by Israeli military operations, exacerbating protection concerns, impeding the safe return of displaced people, hindering humanitarian access, and further driving needs. Along the Blue Line, hostilities have persisted on a near daily basis, including artillery shelling, demolitions, and airstrikes, particularly in areas where the Israeli army maintains a military presence and has erected physical barricades and warning signage. Preliminary official estimates by the Beirut Area Reconstruction Committee indicate extensive damage from the airstrikes, including to a school for people with disabilities. 9 residential buildings were completely destroyed, while more than 70 sustained partial damage. Some 115 housing units were destroyed, reportedly resulting in the displacement of about 300 families who have been hosted by relatives. Continued military operations by Israel in Lebanon remain a driver of humanitarian needs, particularly in the south. According to the International Organization for Migration, more than 82,000 people remain displaced across the country, while over 981,000 people have returned to their communities of origin. This morning, the head of our Office for Central Africa, UNOCA, Abdou Abari, spoke by video conference to the Security Council. He first highlighted progress accomplished in the past months, including in Chad, which concluded its political transition, and in Gabon, where progress towards full restoration of the constitutional order was achieved. But against this backdrop, he also highlighted the impact of budgetary constraints on humanitarian operations, notably in Chad, where the 2025 Humanitarian Response Plan is currently funded at only 9.3%, compared with 19.5% at the same time last year. Turning to the work of his office, Mr. Abari said the current financial situation is impacting his office and forcing him and his team to rethink their plans and working methods, in a context where several electoral processes are planned in the region this year and in 2026. Mr. Abari said the countries of the region are resolutely committed to the principles and values of the United Nations, as well as to the Pact for the Future. He called on Security Council members for their continued support, particularly at this critical time. And turning to Northeast Nigeria, Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher has released $6 million from the Central Emergency Response Fund, or CERF, to respond to the worst malnutrition crisis to hit the region in 5 years. Mr. Fletcher stressed that we need to get food to those in urgent need and get systems in place to reduce the risk of future crises. Our colleagues from the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs are deeply concerned about the impact of escalating food insecurity in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states in the northeast of the country during the lean season between June and August. This year, 1 million children under 5 in these areas are at risk of severe acute malnutrition. That's double last year's figure and the highest number in at least 5 years. The new funding from CERF will help partners meet the most urgent nutrition and health needs of vulnerable people in northeast Nigeria, particularly women and children. Our humanitarian colleagues note that it comes at a critical time as brutal funding cuts by key donors disrupt humanitarian response efforts. In Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states, these cuts mean humanitarians no longer have the capacity to prevent a further worsening of the situation. Just over a month ago, the UN and the government of Nigeria launched a plan for the lean season that seeks $160 million for 2 million people with life-saving assistance. That's it for me. Do we have any questions? Yes, Deji.
Actually, several questions. Before last weekend, it's been reported by New York Times and multiple outsources that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said Israel is arming the opposition in Gaza against Hamas. Would that solve the problem of the situation in Gaza to give more guns in there?
It's clear that what Gaza needs least is more ammunition. What we need, and we've said this over and over again, is a lasting ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and unimpeded humanitarian assistance. Having more guns, having more armed parties, increases the risk to the population.
And
some of the ongoing discussions at the Ocean Conference in France as the world convenes there to talk about how we continue to protect the ocean. Let's go for a net break. We'll be back shortly to close the show.
Welcome to Eswatini Lifestyle. This is your ultimate guide to the entertainment, to the lifestyle and the culture of Eswatini.
Eswatini Lifestyle.
Eswatini Lifestyle.
Eswatini Lifestyle.
From 6:30 to 7 p.m. On Eswatini TV, sibuko semaswati.
On Eswatini TV, sibuko semaswati.
It's 2 minutes before 8 o'clock. Ngone lumuhle sesifike emaphethelweni ihlelo lefu lomhla ekseni. Sibonge kakhulu kusenikhethe kuvuka nathi lomuhle. I'll see you again tomorrow at exactly 6 a.m. Be safe out there. Moya solom nenga kulu tokubika langa lonke into the night. Be safe and warm.
Than gold, whiter than snow, deeper than the ocean, wider than the sea.
Come on, let's give God praise tonight. Hallelujah. He's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. Shine, Jesus, shine. Say, Father, you reign. Shine, Jesus, shine. Lord, forever you reign. Shine, Jesus, shine. Yeah, that looks beautiful. Come on. Father, you reign. Shine, Jesus, shine. Lord, forever. Come on, you come here to worship the King of Kings. Lift him up. Shine, Lord. Lord, forever. Shine, Lord. Come on, lift it up. Father, you reign. The Lord forever. Lift your voice. Call him Lion and the Lamb. Hey. Beginning and the end. Shine, Lord. Come on, where are my worshipers? Lift it up.